I wanted to ask about the defensive effort from Thursday. Obviously, I'm assuming you guys went back and watched film, but what did you see that stood out to you in that last, I would say, 3 minutes or so as the game was kind of winding down?
Script start. It is undeniable that this team presents an incredible defensive test because of how effectively they stretch the court and knock down perimeter shots. But I am confident there are specific situations where we can successfully cheat off particular offensive players to provide assistance. In the past, we really failed to establish a low-eye weak-side rotation or have an active defender waiting inside the painted area to disrupt and contest shots at the basket, meaning that doing a superior job of preventing direct, straight-line drives is going to be incredibly vital for our success. Furthermore, establishing our presence early and anchoring ourselves in transition defense will be critical, because they consistently push the ball with a tremendous amount of forward momentum and speed, requiring our defenders to occupy the gaps immediately, so it never appears like there are wide-open paths for their ball handlers to attack downhill. That specific strategy is exactly why we found so much success during our initial matchup against them, as we effectively congested the floor and clogged the driving lanes to ensure there were absolutely no clean openings for them to exploit, particularly when they tried to push the pace in transition. For our squad to find success tonight, we simply need to review the tape and replicate the exact formula that allowed us to come away victorious in that opening game, while bringing a completely elevated level of competitive aggression from the very first whistle that was visibly absent during our performance on Thursday night.
What positives can you take from the last game and carry over?
When you look at the scoreboard and realize the opposing team only managed to put up 101 points, you should absolutely be able to secure a victory in a professional basketball game with that kind of defensive output. Because of that reality, I strongly believe that our primary focus moving forward must be tightening things up on the defensive end of the floor, even though there are still plenty of execution details and statistical categories on offense that we need to actively refine and improve as a unit. If you look closely at the data, it is clear that our struggles with giving up offensive rebounds and failing to secure the basketball have cost us a combined total of 47 points. So if we can successfully clean up those specific vulnerabilities and dedicate our energy to mastering those two phases of the game, we will naturally put ourselves in a position to experience a much higher level of success.
Peyton, I'm sorry if you've already answered this, but you guys come out to combat in the fourth. What is it going to take to finish the game? How do you feel like?
At the end of the day, coming out on top simply boils down to stringing together consecutive defensive stops and avoiding sending the opponent to the free throw line on unnecessary fouls. To give them credit, they managed to sink a handful of highly contested, difficult buckets during the critical moments of the game, because they possess elite players who understand how to execute their sets flawlessly when the game is on the line. We attempted to adjust our schemes and throw a few different defensive coverages at them to disrupt their rhythm, but their offense read the situation perfectly and found ways to exploit the adjustments we made. Looking at the bright spots, a major positive we can take away is that our group showed tremendous resilience by putting together an impressive scoring run to claw our way back into contention. Although we obviously want to avoid putting ourselves in a position where we are constantly fighting from behind for the entire duration of the contest. As I mentioned previously, a significant portion of the damage we sustained was entirely self-inflicted, and we can easily discover ways to generate higher quality opportunities and make the game simpler for ourselves by eliminating the careless turnovers that hand them free points. They managed to capitalize on our mistakes to secure either 17 or 20 fast break points, which represents a massive chunk of effortless scoring opportunities where they are consistently attacking with numbers and playing at a distinct schematic advantage. If our squad can successfully minimize mistakes in those specific categories and keep those numbers down, it will undoubtedly provide us with an excellent opportunity to walk away with a victory in today's contest.
And then speaking of defense, you've kind of been, called to step up to the challenge on that. How do you feel about where you are defensively at this point in the season?
I am firmly committed to the mindset of constant development, always seeking out fresh methods to elevate my play, and I know that remaining highly active on the floor and inserting myself directly into the opponent's passing lanes will be key. Additionally, I recognize that I need to elevate my performance on the glass by rebounding the ball with more consistency, which will allow me to immediately push the pace in transition and provide some much-needed assistance to our front court players when it comes to securing defensive boards. Ultimately, every single member of this roster is making steady strides forward, and the only way to sustain that growth is to repeatedly head back to the film room, analyze the footage, and pinpoint the exact areas where we can continue to refine our game.
I had one more, if you don't mind. You mentioned about kind of playing without fouling. How hard has it been to kind of adjust to the way that the tighter calls have been called?
It has honestly been a challenging stretch lately, and I definitively feel like there have been several difficult whistles and close plays that simply did not swing in my favor. But despite that frustration, I truly respect the manner in which the officials are managing the game, because it feels like they are whistling plays with great consistency for both teams on the floor. It never feels like the officiating is completely tilted toward one side, especially considering that we earned our way to the charity stripe for a significant number of attempts during our previous outing, so our focus must remain on adjusting to the flow of the game and doing a better job of keeping our hands vertically extended. When you analyze the mistakes, a lot of the issues stem from our players picking up late, reactionary reach-in fouls, and that is an area of concern that applies universally to our entire roster because we are putting ourselves in positions where we do not actually need to commit a foul. This ties right back into my earlier observation regarding the absolute necessity of being much sharper and quicker with our weak side help rotations, which would allow us to effectively peel off our men, execute clean switches, and react with anticipation rather than being a split second behind the action. Even though we have found ourselves a step slow at times, we will keep making the necessary adjustments, and I think the referees deserve credit for doing a commendable job of managing the physicality and keeping the contest as fair and clean as possible. I actually haven't received a single birthday present quite yet, but we will just have to wait and see how the rest of the day unfolds. To be completely honest, the main gift I am focused on securing for her is a hard-fought victory on the court, so I suppose that is the ultimate goal we are chasing right now. On top of that, some people were incredibly sweet and made sure she got some cookies for the celebration, so at least there is that little bonus to enjoy.
And then the other thing, just, debuting the shoes, how do they feel? Again, when the dust settles and now that first game is over, that one little way to that,
It still feels completely surreal to walk into the locker room, grab your own custom sneakers, and lace them up before heading out to play, because that is an incredibly unique and special milestone for any athlete. I've noticed that a ton of people had the exact same reaction after witnessing the initial game, mentioning how the sneakers look vastly superior when you actually see them being worn on the hardwood during live action. Whether you are observing them firsthand on the court, checking out a high-resolution photograph, or inspecting the details up close in person, you can instantly see that they are an incredibly sharp and beautiful piece of design, which makes the whole experience deeply meaningful to me. I plan on sticking with this particular blue colorway for the next few games, but we have an incredible lineup of exciting concepts and fun designs scheduled to drop in the near future, so I am absolutely thrilled for what is coming next.
Describe the impact she's had on the team's chemistry, even as a rookie.
She truly possesses an incredibly wonderful soul and is exactly the kind of positive, supportive personality that you always want to have around the team inside the locker room. The attribute that I respect the most when it comes to Raven is her genuine deep-seated desire to absorb knowledge and her relentless drive to elevate her skill set every single day. Witnessing that level of dedication is incredibly inspiring, and it is easily my favorite quality about her character as a teammate. She is constantly grinding in the film room to analyze her play, always stepping up to ask insightful questions. And when I recently checked in with her to see how many family members and friends were traveling to watch her perform, she smiled and admitted she had completely lost count of the total. That should give you an accurate idea of just how massive her support section is going to be, which guarantees that this experience is going to be an absolute blast for her. I am incredibly happy and thrilled for her to have this moment, and I have total confidence that she is going to step onto the hardwood and deliver an absolutely phenomenal performance for us today. =S_PRIP_END =.